Hi again. I'm back. There are 5 components to playing pool that I've been talking about. I'll review them real quick. But there's a 6th component. He's only mostly dead, Princess Bride. Okay, there is a 6th component, and I'm going to talk about that 6th component. And then I'm going to talk again about how they're all very, very important. But I'm going to tell you there's one component that's within a subcomponent that is a little more important. Look at that teaser. Nice. Okay, so I'm going to run over the 5 components again. Fundamentals, biomechanics. My people like to call it. I just think it sounds cool to say biomechanics. Okay, physics. All right. So biomechanics, arm angles, cue angle, stance, stroke, eye patterns, things like that. Physics, how the cue ball reacts with this little ball here, or this ball, and eyebrow there or something. I guess these giant eyebrows. So how the balls react together, meaning energy transfer and spin. Okay, let's call it that. And geometry is angles. Angles is geometry. That's number 3. 4 is strategy. What ball to shoot when, how to shoot it, speed to shoot it at, all these different strategic ideas, patterns, that kind of stuff. Even like what to break, head ball, second ball, like that's an 8-ball strategy. Okay, there's all kinds of strategy, right? This stuff isn't infinite, but there's a lot of strategy. And then the mental game, all right? The mental game is how you handle your stuff and how you perform and how much of your 4 components you can bring out. Okay, let's say it that way. And then your mental game could also be how you approach your game, your overall game. Like how do you view your game and how do you view your journey in this game and things like that. So there's so many different mental components, right? But the sixth component, okay, this is the 6th component. I've been thinking about it. The 6th component is how you blend these things. How do you blend these components, and how do you balance, and how do you blend, and how do you assess? Like, we're gonna have a podcast. Irene and I are gonna do that podcast on that. But let's talk about that tomorrow, or sometime whenever we release it for you guys. I only care about my world, my production schedule. Look at that production schedule. I'm a big shot with my YouTube page all of a sudden. Okay, so what are we talking about again? Okay, the 6th component is blending. We gotta blend, okay? So there's a couple different ways we have to think about blending. We have to think about it on a micro level and a macro level. Okay, on a micro level, when we are shooting shots, man, it is critically important that we know how to blend the components. We have to know how to blend our biomechanics with the physics and a lot of times the geometry, okay? And then, of course, then we build strategies around utilizing those components. And then we have to consider our mental while we're practicing, so we don't monkey tilt and we don't jam balls in the rail 6, 7, 8 times and get mad and upset and get out of the moment and completely unable to focus, okay? So we have to figure out how to blend and balance these things, and that is where I come in, okay? That's like my jam, I feel like. I'm not any smarter than anybody. I just have this ability to keep it super simple and to understand how things fit together. It turns out I'm a puzzle guy. I never knew I was a puzzle guy, but it turns out I'm kind of a puzzle guy. And this puzzle has 5 pieces. And the 6th piece of the puzzle, I got an extra thumb. The 6th piece of the puzzle is the ability to blend, okay? That's a really, really important skill to have. And that is something we can practice. When I'm going through these videos and I'm showing you guys the components of a shot, and you watch me do my training videos where I'm training myself and I'm explaining, all I am doing is running this algorithm in my head after every single shot of what happened, what went wrong, what do I want to have happen, and how do I correct it? Do I add a little more biomechanical focus? Or do I just let that go and work on the physics? Or is it a geometric problem? Am I having an angle issue, right? And then That's most of the shots I'm shooting. And then I'll introduce strategy so that I can blend strategy in. So I shot the shot the other day where I shot the 8-ball and I was playing to the 9 and playing to the 9 and weekly workout kind of stuff. And then I think strategy. Is this the best way to play to the 9? Maybe I shoot a draw shot to play to the 9. And then I'll set up another pattern where I'm going forward and I'm like, well, I have to go forward. I need this shot. I need to understand the biomechanics, the physics, and the geometry of every shot I shoot and every possible shot on the table. So I just take my time and understand that I'm just going around and around and around on the fun wheel, because it is fun for me to learn, and figuring out what do I need to pay attention to, what went wrong, and how do I fix it, and how do I anchor what's going right. When I hit something correctly and I hit it pure, then I want to anchor that as well in my training. So that's kind of my process. But the whole thing is that these 5 items, they're up as windows in my brain, and I'm just algorithmically, I like that word too. Maybe I'm trying to sound smart. Algorithmically, I'm trying to figure out how to blend all these together and how are they blending. And because we're going to get to the final end game boss of the one thing out of the 5 that might have a little more importance, because I'm present, I'm able to blend those effectively, very effectively, honestly. I'm able to stay very present and able to get the information, assess, and then I advise myself on what is the correction, okay? So here it is. The one thing that doesn't trump everything, because they're all very important. All 5 of those components are important, but in the subcategory of mental, I would say acceptance, staying present, all right? Not being frustrated, being process-minded, however you want to say it. It's a blend of those concepts together. That is what is most important when you're playing pool in practice, and then you practice that process to bring it into your competitive game. And it will come into your competitive game, and you will just joyfully solve puzzles and solve shots, and you'll be less concerned about winning. And so just to recap, we want to be 80% focused on process and 20% focused on winning. I want to win just like everybody else, but I understand that winning comes as a byproduct, meaning not missing comes as a byproduct of doing my components, my process, the things that I train, the things that I work on. And the one thing that is the biggest killer in training and the biggest killer in learning and the biggest killer in competition is focusing 80%, let's call it, on winning and the outcome of the shot. It's an absolute destroyer of people and their ability to learn. That's it. It's just flat out, it's it. And this is not my opinion. This is programming, neuroscience, let's say. It's supported. There's a video, I'll try to link it in here, but it's a guy from Stanford. He's a neuroscientist, and he did a video, and I clicked on it the other day, and I'm like, this is exactly what I'm teaching. I'm teaching people this exact concept. When we have Irene in here, and she's talking about flipping your lid and the lizard brain and the executive brain, we're all, like, she's saying the same thing that I'm saying. If you can be in your executive brain and not in your flipped lid, lizard brain, reactive brain, okay, you're much better off. You learn at such a great rate, and it's just critical. And I will continue to beat the drum for process, and 80% process, percent, and 20% result. We have to train that way, think that way, do that in order to get rid of the garbage that's clogging up our brain, okay? There's a word that Joel uses with me, and he used it so much one time. I said, say it one more time, I'm hanging up the phone, and that word is bandwidth. But it's a great word in this setting, in this situation. And Jolie talks about this when he but explains back to me what I'm talking about with this concept of that 6th element. And he's saying we simply need as much brain power bandwidth as we can have to play this complex game. So if we spend 80% considering what does that person think, and they're watching me, and I want to win because this, and I'm going to do that, and it's going to mean this. I've done it for decades and decades and decades, and sometimes it works randomly, but it almost killed me and made me miserable and all those things I talk about. So I have a process of playing, and my process is I'm not doing that anymore, and I'm playing with joy, and I'm playing with just process mind and 20% on winning and losing. And the reason why is because, and the reason why it's working so well for me, and the reason why I'm standing and shouting it from the rooftops for you guys, and I'm banging the drum of this, is because of what Jolie's saying. It allows me to free up that bandwidth so that we can focus on biomechanics, physics, geometry, strategy, and staying calm in our mental process. And also number 6 is the ability to blend it in real time as we're competing and playing and finding out what do we need in this moment, okay? So that's why we need to be in our executive brain, and we can't be in our flipped lid lizard brain. And that's basically it. So that's the 6th element. Is that a movie? Bruce Willis, 6th element? I think it is. The 6th element is the ability to blend all 5 of the first 5 elements, to be able to manage them. And when you can do these things, you'll no longer need me, and you'll be able to learn this stuff on your own and teach yourself this stuff on your own and manage and advise yourself on your own. And that's my dream, right? That's my dream. So, all right, I think that's it. I just would encourage you to think more about it. And when you hear me talk about process and being present and learning mind and things like that, these are not things that I'm talking about because I don't know what to tell you. I'm just trying so hard to get people to understand this so that they can open up their mind and play more free and play with more joy and play and practice and learn better while they're doing it. Okay, and now I'm gonna say this. All right, what's this guy's name? Oh man, he's some foreign player. He's like an 800 Fargo. Anyways, Jolie was saying he watched an interview with him, and I've never talked to this guy. I don't know anything about him. I'm blanking on his name. I'm so sorry. But he said that when he stopped caring about results, his game went through the roof. Through the roof. He became a completely different player. And I'm telling you, I have the same experience on my little 700 level, is that when I stopped caring about results, my game went up, up, up and away. And my joy went up, up, up and away. And when you see me on these videos and I'm laughing, I'm having fun, it's not an act. I really enjoy playing pool. And I'm telling you, for 38 years, I was a grumpalumpagus. I literally hated this game. I hated it. I hated the way it made me feel. I hated that I couldn't be an 800. I hated everything about it. And you might not hate it, but that's good. That's good. But what I'm saying is if we say, like for instance, there's been a comment that Joel told me about. There was a person that we knew in the past. It was this dude. And he thought that me saying that you should play without anger, he thought that was the biggest BS he'd ever heard. And he's like, no, man, you need some edge to, you could focus more and all this stuff. And it's like, I just look at all the neuroscience and all the research and all the everything. And it's like completely the opposite of the truth. And I just feel bad for him, right? Because I watched him practice and hit balls with anger. And every time I watch someone practice and hit balls with anger, I just think, I feel terrible for them. And I just think it's so sad because who wants to be angry? And I also think you're just absolutely not learning anything. You're just completely wasting your time. So you're spending all this time away from family, away from friends, away from like doing other things that are like important. And you're sitting there and you're hitting a ball into a hole for 6 hours angrily. And you're just telling yourself some narrative that if you do it enough, eventually you're gonna whip yourself into some sort of like awesome player. And yeah, I did that, right? I did that. But with all due humility, I'm not a normal person. Like, people aren't the people that I'm seeing doing it, they don't have the things that I have for this game. They just have the anger, and they just have the results focus. They don't have the other tools that I brought to the game, just that I was gifted. So it can work, right? It can. If you were to go around the Pro Tour and you were to look at these guys, so many of them, I'm sure, are results focused, and it's totally fine. Like, I've sat on airplanes next to 800s, and I was on an airplane next to one of the best players in the world, and after about 10 minutes, I was like, can I get a seat change? Because he just ran his resume at me and just kind of was just him, resume, this. And I'm just sitting there thinking, man, like, this is crazy. I don't really want to talk to this dude. I know what he's done, and I'm like, this is not a very deep person. You know, he's not, like, when I talk to people, I want to talk to people like a normal person. And so if I meet somebody, I'm like, what do you do? What are you into? What, you know, we both play pool. Holy cow, what do you do? Will you play pool? Like, I meet people all the time and they're like, yeah, I played my way through college. And I'm like, tell me more about that. I want to hear more about how you played your way through college. Paid your way through college. Like, I don't care. I like it. And I'm the opposite, you know. Just 2 weeks ago, I was with my buddy Spartan Mike, and I was doing some work on a new construction house he was building, and he introduced me to a guy, and the guy's like, yeah, I play pool, and he was talking about his leagues and his rating and all that stuff, and I was like, oh, that's cool, man, that's awesome. And I was just listening, and I'm just like, yeah. And then Mike had to, like, bring up that I even played pool, and I'm not trying to be like fake humble. I'm just like, I wanted to hear what he had to say. It didn't matter what I do with pool. It's not relevant. Like, I don't really know this guy. We're only going to meet for a second. It's more about him at that time. I just want to find out what he's doing. I want to see what he's into. You know, I don't need to, like, spew my resume at him and tell him, I got a YouTube channel, bro. It's like, you know, Spartan Mike told him that. That's cool. I appreciate, you know, it's fun. You know, it's fun when other people can speak on your behalf. That's very flattering. So thank you, Spartan Mike. But yeah, it's just, I'm on a little bit of a tangent, but I'm just saying, process. And you can get there. You can get there with results. I just, not for, it didn't work for me as far as, like, longevity. I quit the game many times, broke my hand, all this stuff. And when I get next to an 800 on an airplane that's results focused, I'm literally like, seat change after 5 minutes. So I don't want to be the seat change guy for somebody else after 5 minutes. And I hope that you desire to not be the seat change for other people after 5 minutes. So let's just focus on the process. Let's enjoy the game. Let's have fun. Let's learn. Let's help each other. Okay? I love you guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye.